hoarding snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? It's your boy Gage. I'm here with Jokes. I'm here with Sin. And it is time for another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys.
And you okay there, Jokes? It's a little rough.
Yeah, a little rough.
All right.
So we are here to spoil the first episode of Loki season 2. And let's do the litmus test. Let's get some feelers out and see where we are on the episode. Jokes, I'll start with you. Where are you grade wise on the episode?
I'm at a 7. I think good start in. I'm at a 7.
Okay. Sin?
I think I'm like an 8.5. I'm pretty high up there with this episode. Even though it's a lot going on, like you can't watch this late night after the river and running all day. There's so much time jumping and things happening in it. But overall, just how the episode starts to how it finishes is foot on the gas the whole time. It's really no slow moments. I just like how they came back with this second season. I really enjoyed just the kickoff of this first episode, how they handled it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at, I think, a solid 7. I enjoyed the episode. We're going to talk about some of the details, some of the stuff that's happening. I mean, I certainly think that this is a solid start and a great precursor to things that I feel like some very important things are actually happening and we're going to see that are going to matter to the overall MCU in ways that we haven't had, in a little while. Like, it just kind of hasn't felt like, we've got a few things that, like answers the questions, specifically around He Who Remains, around Kang, you know what I mean? Like,
I would say this episode made me more excited to see Kang and He Who Remains and the Kang Dynasty, all them again as an actual threat. Like, Loki made me believe, okay, that this guy's a threat once again. Where like Ant-Man kind of dropped the ball for it for me.
Loki's selling that joint like, oh, this
is a threat. Like, okay, he's back to having me worried that this guy's a threat who's coming. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Loki is genuinely scared, right?
Yes.
in this, and this basically picks up exactly where the end of the last season left off. With Loki kind of like opening his eyes and coming to the realization that he is not in the same place that he believed he was going to end up being in, and that therefore Sylvie must have done the thing that he was beginning to think shouldn't be what she did, which is kill
He Who Remains, that
Kang variant, the He Who Remains, right? And him kind of running around and like trying to talk to people who he feels like should know who he is, and they like, dog, I don't know you. You know what I mean? Has him even more scared. And then he begins to like time
slip.
Time slip was the official. Time slipping is the official thing for yes, but practically implode on himself. It looks like.
Hey, that joint looks so.
It looks like it.
Painful.
Yeah. Even
he's like, it's not that bad, but it looks like it's that bad. It was actually one of my favorite parts of this episode when they in the elevator.
And he asked him, was like, how does it look?
And then he turned to what sold it for me is when he turned to the girl that was in the elevator and you ain't know was in there. And her face was like, it looks like he just died.
And like the second time it happens in front of Morbius, he's like, okay, no, like that looks bad. Like it looks like he wasn't trying to sell it no more to him. Like, no, this looks painful.
Like, I feel like as it went on though, like my man just got like, I don't want to say he got comfortable with it, but it just seemed like it happened and it just annoyed him versus being like that painful.
After it happening so much, like the shock of it wears off and it's like it just hurts. Like, stop. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So Loki is, for some reason we don't know why yet.
Exactly.
Loki was slipping right through time, and it at least initially seems like he's always going to the past and then coming back, right? And eventually that's not the case. He ends up going to the future, right, at some point. One of the things I like about this episode is how they handle moments like, you know, when he slips, he's coming back in the same place. Like wherever he was when he slips is where he's coming back, which means he must not be going anywhere or something. Like, I don't know. Like, if he slips and he leaves that space, when he comes back, is he in the space where he slipped again, or is he back at the place where he slipped the first time?
I think he slips from where he's currently standing. I think that's what it is. Like when he's first in that room where the big circular TV or whatever falls and cracks the emblem, he swaps right then to the future. And then later when they're in the
war room or whatever it was,
right, that conference room or whatever it is with everybody, he's in the future seeing, you know, He Who Remains and all those faces, and he switches right there back to where they are in the middle of the discussion. He switches right there. So I think it's just where he's standing.
But we don't see him. We don't see him wander or move during that time. Like, so when he slips and then he's in the conference room, he doesn't leave the conference room. So what I'm saying is, if he was to slip, leave the conference room, slip again to back where he was, is he back in the conference room, or is he now in the other space? Because I don't think we see him slip that way. I do want to talk about this time travel thing, because I'm good for a solid time travel flick, movie, film, show. I love Quantum Leap. However, the MCU has been playing with time and timelines for quite some time now.
Yes.
I don't really know other way to say it. And I don't feel like they've done a great job of establishing what all of the rules are for what is happening with time and where it goes and how it gets manipulated or changed or adjusted. It just doesn't feel simplified enough.
Understand,
right? It feels like it's really complicated,
especially from the show.
As a person who generally doesn't have issues with stuff like that, I feel like the general public must be so lost right now.
I feel you. That's, like I said, how I felt when it started. I was just like, okay, it's a lot of stuff going here time-wise. Like, you have to be locked in, so focused on literally everything. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to what they've done in the past with time travel and what they're going to do now in Loki season 2. Like, you have to be locking and so focused on these episodes to help follow.
Yeah. With him time slipping, I feel like it's relatively straightforward, especially in certain moments. So, like, when they're in the room talking to Ouroboros, and he time slips to the past, and Ouroboros is like, I never met Loki before. I don't know what he's talking about. There's no such thing as this, you know, or whatever. But then in the past, he's telling him stuff, and then he's starting to remember it.
Yeah, in real time.
Yeah, and then Mobius is like, wait, is he there telling you about it right now so that you know? Or just, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was a fun little scene.
And I think that's relatively straightforward, right?
Yeah.
What do I need to make this stop? Oh, you would need a whatever time displacement, blah, blah, blah.
Do you
whatever.
Do you have one?
Do you have one of those?
No, I don't have one.
Just that. Wait a minute.
I have one right here.
I put it here so I remember to give it to you when you know what I mean? That kind of stuff is great. Like I enjoyed that.
Very straightforward. But when you start thinking the first thing I was thinking of was as that was happening was kind of to that Bruce Banner explanation that he was trying to give during Endgame, where that was Infinity War.
That was Infinity
War,
yeah.
Where he was like, no, like you go back in time, you don't necessarily change this future, you change the future of that timeline, and like it creates whole different things. So it's like now I'm like, okay, this is a little different here, but I'm guessing because it's the TVA where they're not necessarily supposed to be able to do the time shifting or whatever, but the two of those just conflict one another on what the hell time necessarily does in the MCU.
The TVA is like a place out of time, right? And so time just doesn't work the same. Like you hear them talking about like we've been here doing this for like Ouroboros, like it's been 400 years since the last time I saw you.
That was funny. That was funny. And Loki playing into the joke was funny. Like, yeah.
Oh. Right.
What's his name?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah. But 400 years, so again, obviously, time works very differently. And whatever is happening to manipulate people like Mobius and like the other TVA agents, right, has affected them so they don't even know how long they've been there. They don't even know how long they've been doing what they've been doing, right? But they've come to the realization from, what happened in the end of last season that they've been snatched up out of time from somewhere, right? And that idea of like, well, pruning the timelines it's not okay, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's going to be a main, and obviously you're dealing with the timelines and pruning, but I feel like based on this episode, one of the main constructs of what this season is going to be about is how important or okay it is to allow time to flow naturally, as opposed to having someone like Kang, who seems to be behind everything that's going on in the TVA, have control over it, right? And the idea that it would seem to me that the natural flow of time based on this is not the issue. That the issue is that Kang tried to take control of the timeline so that there would not be more hims, because the other variants of him always figure out how to cross timelines and then attempt to conquer those other timelines. And so he is the only real reason why they need to keep it down to one timeline and try to hold it together. And so this machine that he invented that kind of bands all of the timelines
time loom
together,
or whatever it was called.
Into one string, is really there to prevent the other Kang and the Kang War, but not necessarily all the other possibilities for all of the other people. So while you have the one officer who's in the room saying, no, you can't prune this, you see what they did to us? Like, I had a life somewhere, you had a life somewhere, you're supposed to be, it's not okay to take this from people. It's going to be, is it okay to take this from people to protect the people from the thing that's coming? Right? So that entire idea of a police force designed to prune timelines because those variants go off and do a thing that isn't quote unquote the canon or what is supposed to happen, it needs to be pruned in order to prevent an additional timeline from popping off where a Kang is eventually going to show up.
Yeah.
Because if he does, it's clearly already happened. If he does, it's going to be a war. It's going to, you know what I mean? And so he basically pruned himself out of every other timeline. And then had to remove the rest of the timelines in order for that to be the case. So what they're going to have to do, for me, is establish the truth of the threat that is Kang. That would mean that everybody else, all these other lives that now they're pushing for, are worth pruning to prevent that. Because they're all going to die anyway. You know what I mean? Dealing with Kang or something like that. We also finally got some talk of like Ravonna Renslayer being with Kang.
Mhm.
Like that is a thing that we talked about that
Before.
during the first season when we were doing the spoilers, because in the comics she's a reason for him. Like she is a major, and in this last season she just was kind of there until the end, and then starts to come together, and then it begins to seem like she's in on it and kind of knows what's going on.
So is that the recording that Loki finds in the office?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And-
I knew you would have the answer. Thank you for that one. Okay.
No doubt. And we don't know where she went at the end of last season. We didn't get an answer for that. She went through a time door, and we don't know
Where she,
you know what I mean, where she went. So in the same way Sylvie opened up a time door and kicked Loki through it, and he ended up somewhere different from where he thought he was going to be. He just thought he was going to be back at the regular TVA he had been at.
Right.
He wasn't. Now he is time slipping back and forth between it. I think I don't think they're gonna stay on this for very long. What I do like about this, I saw that the time slipping thing was going to be something that was a crux of the show throughout,
bigger type,
and it seemed like they wrapped it up by the end of the episode.
I liked it. The one and done kind of thing, making it a big, like a big monumental, like big climactic thing we have to get done in this one episode, that made it a lot bigger to set things off and to start things. Like there was more bigger things on the line between Loki, we got to stop him from time slipping, or else we're going to lose our main character, and the Loom going, out of whack. We got to stop that too. So,
right, or losing Mobius, who was like not about to make it back in time.
Right.
Yes.
The stakes felt high.
Yeah. That's what
I mean.
Yes.
Like, oh no, is he gonna be able to save Loki? It's his show, so I imagine.
Yeah, I guess he's somehow.
But they certainly could have ended it, and you don't know, and then we wouldn't have found out until the next episode, or something. You know what I mean? Whatever. Or he's lost somewhere in time, and now we got to go find him.
True.
I'm under the impression, though, that maybe we're not done with time slipping. That
I was going to ask,
didn't work.
Do you think that he can do it like on command now?
No,
Maybe.
I think they've resolved by pulling him into, like, pruning him and then pulling him back into the one timeline. I think that for him, I think it resolves it.
Okay.
So because of how he got kicked through the door, I think that, I don't want to say split necessarily him, but I don't think necessarily he didn't know, or I can't say he, but time didn't necessarily know where he should be actually at. So it kept pulling him and putting him in places.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm satisfied with this as a solution to the issue, or whether or not I really feel like they need to explain why the time slipping was happening to Loki in the first place, and why something that is supposed to be impossible, according to Ouroboros, is in fact possible, and therefore why he has a solution for it. If it's a thing that's and for that matter, if it's not possible, well, clearly it's a thing that happens. It just isn't supposed to be able to happen in the TVA.
Yeah, because he said he's seen it before. Like he was
because he knew what it was. So he had
knew exactly what it was. Yeah.
So Mobius didn't know what it was, but Ouroboros knew what it was, and I guess he's seen everything, right? It all kind of goes through him. So
I think we will get an explanation. It was too big of a thing for it to be a whole focus of an episode for the most part, for us not to get the answer of why he can do that in the TVA.
Well, also like all through the trailers. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like, but I feel like every time we've seen him time slip, all of the times we saw him time slip in the trailers, we have seen now. So it's possible that him time slipping is over, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other people
that are
time slipping and
not happening in the TVA. We clearly know that like they're gonna go to other times, because in the Ant-Man, they were in the past looking at Victor Timely. So we know at some point
that we're gonna
that
get
has
to
to
that.
come. You know,
Yeah.
Unless I guess that maybe that is a different time. Maybe I don't know, because I would have imagined that was where season 2 was kind of gonna kick off at, but I'm guessing that's another time. I'm guessing maybe.
well, I mean, they couldn't really kick it off there because we knew how the last season ended, and him looking up and seeing he who remains face as a
on
giant
the
statue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what I will say is that him beginning to realize where he is when he slips. Oh, I'm in the past, you know, whatever. And then he's in the conference room, and he uses the pruning staff.
Yeah.
To prune the wall. You lost me, dog.
I was lost on that one too. I didn't get that.
Nah, I'm gonna make a weird face on that one. You lost me, bro.
That didn't make sense to me.
All he had to do was like make a statement, like how like Star Trek has like the phaser that you can set to stun and kill. Like if they just said, "Oh, I turned this shit like all the way up," so it actually like destroyed,
blasted it, have it crumble or something.
It destroyed stuff versus. I don't know. There could have been an easy statement to kind of make that work. Like I like the fact that the whole like the Kang faces were there behind the map or whatever that was there, but it was just like we can prune inanimate objects as well now too. Like I don't know, that just seems
just the top layer of it.
Yeah, I'm lost on that one, and I feel like now somebody needs to explain to me. Now I have to figure. Now I need to know who covered that up from the past to now, and if I have to guess, it's Miss Minutes. So now I'm really like, who is Miss Minutes? Because they were like, well, let's just ask Miss Minutes, which isn't working right now, by the way. But also, my man was like, oh no, I don't talk to her. You can't trust her. She was with him. Okay, so who is she? Is she a version of Ravonna Renslayer?
I have a thought on Miss Minutes. You know what? I'm gonna keep it for later though. I have an idea.
Okay.
This is grand. This is like
now is the time to share it because we talking about Miss Minutes.
Grand scheme of things, what if Mrs. Minutes was like the MCU's version of like the Beyonder? Maybe I don't want to say keeping a low key, but doing this undercover thing to set up Secret Wars. And maybe Miss Minutes, maybe the Beyonder is certain characters within the MCU we've seen at various times. Places.
Like who else?
Trying to think who else has been.
Because I think that's the problem with that theory.
Maybe like how we were talking about. We never figured out. I hate to use this one. Who your witness protection was? I'm sorry.
You're never gonna find it out, bro. You're never gonna find it out. It doesn't exist.
Listen, I know, but I feel like that's still, to me, like that's just not something that you just, and I don't want to go off on the tangent because we'll go off on the whole thing with that. I still feel like there's something about that's just not right. Like you don't leave that just like wide open like that. Like somebody forgot to write in a part to the story, and it's just out there like that. But I don't know. Just there's something about Miss Minutes that I feel like it's just not fully there just yet. And I thought the Beyonder is just one of those characters that, if they go that route, obviously.
I mean, look, we know the Secret War is coming.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they could do something like that. It just that feels a little bit beyond. Oh my gosh, beyond it. That feels a little bit.
That was Joe's fault. I'm just gonna put it there. It was Joe's fault for that.
That feels like a little bit of a reach. It just seems like too much to make Miss Minutes be the Beyonder. It seems to me that like Miss Minutes is, if I had to surmise a theory, and I kind of do in order to allow myself to get through these shows, I feel like Miss Minutes is some version of Ravonna Renslayer.
I was gonna ask
that is trapped.
Could it be that Renslayer and He Remains created Miss Minutes?
Possibility.
Yes. Yes.
Key to it.
Look,
that will never.
somebody made her, you know what I mean? Or she is the personality of someone trapped in a thing, but she clearly has ulterior motives and is relatively sinister. And we saw that at the end of the last season.
I remember.
And
started getting snippy.
Started getting a little creepy. It was getting a little creepy. I was like,
and her showing up like being in his castle, like at the end of the last season, was just like something ain't right? And so Miss Minutes is clearly and right now you can go on Facebook and Instagram and you can sign up to get Miss Minutes to give you, you know, updates when the new episodes come out and stuff like that or whatever. And you know I did.
Of course.
So she's clearly important, right? Like
obviously.
She's an AI something. She's probably the most important piece of this entire show. Is who is Miss Minutes? Where did Miss Minutes come from? And what is Miss Minutes' job? Does she have something to do with Kang? Is she in some way keeping Kang from coming or whatever? Because even though she seems sinister at the end of the last season, and you don't know if you can or you should trust He Who Remains, at this point, with what we do know, it would seem He Who Remains is in fact the final Kang and therefore like the good guy. The one Kang who managed to put all the other ones away, and instead of still attempting to conquer, quote unquote, all of time and space and the people, chose to do whatever was necessary to keep all the rest of the Kangs from coming to be, right? And she is on his side for doing that. So it's like, if He Who Remains is the one Kang variant that beat all the rest of them and is like, yo, we cannot allow them to come out. There are a couple things that I have that are issues with that. One, that again makes to me him the good guy, right? Two, all right, clearly he's a little nuts. Geniuses tend to be that. But just say that. Why is everything so cryptic? Just say, hey, look. And he kind of did, like, he kind of spelled it out for them. Like, he showed them, like, the little diagrams and they're like, this is this and this. You know, and it's like, you don't know if you can trust any of that. Saying you're dedicated.
Oh, I said, yeah, you can't trust him. Like, and then you just met this guy for the first time. You're at the end of time, and he's saying, hey, look, I'm here to protect y'all from what's really out there. So trust me.
And listen, that smile was fun. Like, you lying.
But again, it's also like, he's not saying it like, hey, look, let me explain. I am a variant of all of these other, you know what I'm saying, whatever. And all of the rest of them, there was a war, we did this. I'm telling you that, like, y'all need to go. Like, you need to let this, we got to prune these timelines. Because, like, he doesn't lay it
out like that.
Not with a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Like, he tells him, like, I mean, if you kill me, then all the other Kangs gonna come and you gonna be sorry, but not like, yo, listen, he don't really, I don't know. It's like, it's not a fight. He doesn't make it sound like it's anywhere near as dire.
Kill me, they come. Yeah. You don't. Hey,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's extremely nonchalant, I don't understand why he's so nonchalant about it. I mean, look, if you've been alive for all of time in some manner, maybe you're just tired. You know what I mean? You just like, you're
just by yourself in this little room, just pruning away.
You and Miss Minutes. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just
Minutes, go send them out there to prune that and go, tell them a reason why we got locked down.
Miss Minutes is my problem. And the fact that Miss Minutes doesn't seem to be operational is weird to me right now. So there are some answers I'm looking for.
Do you think we get any of those next episode with Miss Minutes? Does she show up? Because there's only 6 episodes for the season, if I'm correct, right?
And that's all they were last time.
Okay.
I feel like this is more.
I think it's more. Hold on. I think I have that thing saved with
I
the
think it's 8.
list. 8 sounds about right.
Yeah. While you look that up, I think Miss Minutes is gonna be. I think we'll see her in the next episode. I don't know in what capacity, but I think we see her. I mean, I don't think she doesn't show up. But I think whatever it is that they did do, now they're in a place where they have to start figuring out how to get to other timelines or places in order to try to keep Kang from coming.
Yes.
And Mobius is gonna have to be on board with it. At the same time, we see at the end of the episode, they just we don't care what y'all say, we about to go hunt down Sylvie. And so they out there looking for Sylvie, and Sylvie just I just want to work at McDonald's.
No, it is 6 episodes.
6. Yep, I just saw on IMDb. 6.
It's only 6 episodes.
So, Sylvie I want these chicken McNuggets.
I want everything.
I'm good at that.
I want everything.
My favorite place. You know what I mean? She about to go visit Stranger Things right now. I want McNuggets. I want a Big Mac. I want these fries.
Hey, listen, I would love to travel to that time because that burger was 25 cents. Definitely give me a whole bag full of them.
Hey, jokes. Not only would you not have had 25 cents at that time, you were not born.
Listen,
so
I'll take my time machine or whatever, and I'll go back and take my $1. That $1 is super powerful at that point.
Go get you 4 burgers.
Go get me 4 burgers.
So I just want to clarify that. Jokes, if you have a time machine,
I'm gonna go back and take that $1 and get me 4 burgers with
you
that
have
$1.
the ability to go back in time. What you gonna do is go get you 4 Big Macs. That's what you gonna do. That's the decision you made. When somebody sits you down and asks the question, if you could go back in time and do anything, what would you do? I'm gonna take me that $1, but that's a powerful $1. And I'm gonna go meet some back in time, and I'm gonna get me 4 Big Macs.
That's a powerful $1.
That's a powerful $1.
The way that $1 stretched back then.
Now, listen here. That $1.
This $1 right here. Ooh. You didn't know what this thing did back then.
Right here. Listen, you gonna go back there with a big face $1, and they gonna tell you this is fake. This is a fake $1. You don't have these.
Security.
Take the monopoly money. You know what I'm saying? And get out of here, dog.
Oh, who is this on the bill?
Do you realize that your dollar bills don't look the way dollar bills look back then? It's changed, sir.
Gotta go to the bank. I need the oldest dollar bills y'all got.
They're gonna lock you up in the past.
You know what, jokes?
I love doing this.
They gonna be sending us notes from the future, hidden stuff.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying. Hey, so the next message be like, "Hey, B, turn around and look behind this picture that you got on your wall. There's a message there."
Like I got locked up for what they thought was fake money, trying to buy 4 burgers.
Right.
I'm stuck. Please help.
I don't. All right, jokes. You're hungry. Got it.
He still has his taste, he said. So, hey, all right, you're not that sick yet.
My man said, I'm trying to go back in time. Them burgers is 25 cents.
Them Big Macs back in the day, they don't make them like that no more.
Woo! All right, listen.
That was a good one. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Let's try to make some predictions for this season, because I'm. It's not easy to do based on what we know, out of this episode. Again, I enjoyed the episode. I think it was a good episode.
Same.
I like the way the episode ended. you
I
know,
thought it was beautiful.
but it
And
was.
with him trying to get him into how they had it looked and everything. Yeah, the whole episode was shot really well. It looked great from the angles, camera shots they chose, and just
Yeah, I
the
mean,
aesthetic of everything. Yeah, looks really, really good.
they just made up some crap. Like, oh, you're gonna have to have this wacky machine, and then
It's gonna peel your skin off.
Hey, listen,
Yeah,
they were selling that whole time. Your skin gonna get peeled off. Like, what do you mean my skin gonna get
I
peeled
like
off?
from the comedic standpoint. Like after a while of him first hearing that and just being like, "No, I don't want that to happen." At the end, it's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna be the guy who, most likely get the skin peeled off." Just it is what it is at this point.
hey dog, why did that Bama write skin on the side of that computer?
I didn't get why. Any other words you could have wrote on there?
Well,
I guess it was the skin peeled off thing. Like, just reminder, there's a chance to get my skin peeled off. So let's do this right so that doesn't happen. That's the only reason I can think why he put skin on there.
It was plot armor, so that Loki would know that he was in the future this time.
Uh-huh.
It's the dumbest. Like,
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
so he would know he was in the future. He turned around, look, skin, and it was the only time out of the other times when he time slipped that he went to the future. Every other time he went to the past, and I don't know if that's insignificant.
It went to the future in the beginning, when the thing fell and the crack on the floor, and then he phased right then, and he was still in the same place, and he saw Casey again. It was, oh, you remember me this time. Then he turns around and sees the crack on the floor, and that's when he realizes in the future for the first time.
No,
that was the same. That was the same time.
Oh, that was the present. Yes, that was the future. That was the future.
Same
right.
time point. Just
right. He went from the past to the present, but right. Okay.
Just a different time where like he didn't exist, or I don't know. He wasn't Loki. Obviously, they didn't know him as Loki. Whichever one.
They hadn't met him. He hadn't become a threat yet. Again, hundreds or thousands of years in the past. Like, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we don't know how far he's going, and we don't know how long the TVA been there. Mm-hmm. So, they have a lot of leeway to play with stuff like that. It's just a matter of what it is. I mean, basically, what's happening is quantum leap. Like, he can just kind of jump. I mean, he's not jumping into other people, but he just kind of jumps back and forth. So I don't know if that means that he's gonna slip still, because he could. Like, again, I feel like this is still all theoretical, whether or not this was a thing that works or not. So he could still slip, and it might just be, all right, we got to go find him, or whatever, right? Are we seeing the other Kangs and the actual threat of the Council of Kangs by the end of this show?
We'll see.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think we'll see at least one or two other Kangs. Like, I feel like maybe they won't throw the whole council at us until like the very end. There's like an after credit scene or something like that. But I feel like they're not going to overload the show with like a whole bunch of Kangs. Like how we have Victor Timely. I feel like at some point when we're jumping through times or whatever it is, I guess maybe that's how we're going to have that interaction to happen. But when you think about it and how back in season 1 when they first saw him was like, they kind of didn't know who he was as of yet. So I don't know if it's like they're going to jump into a different time or they're going to shift this to a different time, because I'm sure that's going to get explored, obviously, with the after credit scene that we saw and how they labeled it. I forget the actual verbiage that they labeled branch timeline. Like they actually said, when we go into the after credit, it's actually a branch timeline. So I guess as we start moving, we'll start seeing that more frequently.
But there's billions of branches. Like, there's billions of branches. Again, clearly we're going to start visiting other timelines. That's just like that is definitely a thing. But all right, so you're saying we see the council. Jokes, you're saying we see.
I don't
one
think we
or
see
two.
the council. I don't think we see the council like full-fledged council. I don't think we see like how they did at the end of Ant-Man. I don't think we're gonna see nothing like that. But I think
we did see like the main 4.
I think
Like, 3 or 4.
something.
If
I
anything,
think
it'll be them.
something more on that lines, like a smaller group, a smaller number, just to establish once again that he is the big threat coming, and just like he said at the end of season 1, like there's so many of them, they're all going to be coming. You need to put more than one in there, kind of just to establish that, oh yeah, there's different versions, like they're all coming to, become the King Dynasty and be the new big threat that's coming to the MCU. I think you got to have a couple of them sprinkled in just to realize that threat to the audience, like that there's so many of them from. Go ahead.
How do we? There's a part of me that feels like they might try to wrap this up, this whole Kang thing, in Loki. Like they might try to completely wrap it up, because I have not been able to figure out exactly what they seem to be planning to do about Jonathan Majors and his legal trouble. And it seems to me that they may be looking to lean in a different direction in terms of who the big bad is for the Avengers coming, for like the remaining, 2 waves of the MCU, because of what's going on with Jonathan Majors. And so, with that being the thing, there's a part of me that could see them leaning away from Kang and possibly having somebody else, like a Ravonna, either end up being Kang, she might end up being Kang.
That could be a good shift.
Or something like that, and they still do Kang, but the variant that's the actual threat, or whatever they do
becomes whoever else. They could easily break the time. Obviously, stuff has been getting shattered the way it is. Maybe they find this original Kang or original whoever started this, take them out. But since they took out that person, the Kang persona now shifts to a different person, and it could be like the Ravonna Renslayer, or let's look, Loki and Sylvie. Obviously Sylvie is a Loki. I think you got a point. They could easily switch it to be like, oh, this is the female Kang,
right?
And then just go from there.
It could be that Ravonna Renslayer was a Kang variant that existed in the TVA timeline we saw in the first season, that she actually was a Kang variant of some sort. In the same way that there was kind of like this weird love thing happening between Loki and Sylvie. Yeah. That maybe that's a thing they explore and they begin to push in this direction, because I cannot disassociate what is happening in real life with the character, with the person who portrays the character they have chosen to be the big bad. Right. And they have to do something about that. Right. And so what direction they lean in and where it goes, there's a lot of things that I would easily have said, oh, it looks like they're doing this to me, that I now feel like I have to throw out of the window, because real life says, oh, you can't keep putting this dude in movies. You can't record, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And currently you couldn't even write something to fix it. Now you can write something to fix it, but you don't have any actors to act right now. So
definitely,
regardless of what happens with this, we're going to be at a long wait, at a long pause. The only other thing we have, a month from now, we have the Marvels. Yeah. And so, but what happens in this, I'm positive is going to have an impact on that, and vice versa. But I feel like that is leaning more towards, let's get mutants in here, let's make mutants a thing, and let's, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we have these two kind of things that are happening at the same time. The mutants becoming important.
Two big pivotal things.
And this Kang thing, because you have to have whatever the big bad is going to be for whatever the next Avengers and who they are, you know what I mean, is going to be. And in the midst of all that, you have the actor who you hired to be that big bad and whose face is on everything. You know what I mean? It's everywhere behind here, or whatever. When you, decide you need to prune a wall, Now you have to figure out what you're going to do about that. And because she was the person who was the judge and was running everything, at least at the TVA, it would seem that she either knew who he was or was in cahoots maybe with Miss Minutes, and Miss Minutes was how she, she seemed just as shocked, right? So there's a part of me that feels like Ravonna Renslayer could have been like the lover of a Kang from a different timeline or something like that he trapped in the TVA the same way he trapped everybody else, but put her in charge because she was the love interest or whatever. Or that she was in fact a Kang, like a Sylvie was a Kang that he trapped and put in charge to control, because he was able to do that because everybody who's in that joint has had their memory wiped. Like they just don't know. They don't know how long they've been there. They don't know where they came from. And she seems to have more information than everybody else.
Yeah.
But still is operating on a, no, this is just what we're supposed to do kind of, mentality. And so I think that there's a lot of space for them to explore and do different things with it. I think that there are going to be a lot of unexpected twists in this that even the most well-read comic book person won't necessarily know, because real life said Jonathan Majors is in trouble. And he can't really do him. Right? So, but we're not necessarily going to rename the Kang Dynasty movie. You know what I mean? We're not necessarily going to, right? But we're leaning on using Kang to introduce Doctor Doom so we can get the Fantastic Four popping off. You know what I mean? And we need to get mutants popping off. And we need, because that's really what war is going to be about. So I'm thoroughly interested in I'm supremely intrigued about where this show is going to go, because right now this is the thing that I feel like is telling me what our plan is for the rest of the MCU.
Agreed.
Right.
And so even though for this episode I'm like, I think it's a 7, right? The importance of it is not a 7. Yeah. The importance of it is like 10.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
have it sussed out a little bit more. Like that's literally what we gotta wait for.
That for me is what the responsibility of this season of this show is. So I think it's a very heavy responsibility. It's got a much heavier burden currently for me than the Marvels does. I think the Marvels is going to be a decent, fun movie. I don't think it's going to be great or astronomical or whatever, but I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. And I do think there are things that are important that are going to happen in it.
Right.
But they're not this part. And again, I think they're just telling us a different part of what the future of the MCU looks like. Then we have the follow-up of the fact that What If does come in December. And What If is canon.
Yes, it is. So what can
and
happen
so because
there?
What If is canon, and now all of these timelines exist, whatever happens at the end of this show,
it's just a branch timeline.
That's a canon thing. And any of those characters that happen to show up from whatever version of whatever future or whatever there is, or past, that shows up then can be a character in live action or in a separate cartoon or whatever in the future. So this show right here, this is the one.
Honestly, it's the most important. It is the most important because as of right now, like let's say I'll even throw like another idea out there. I don't think we'll explore like obviously Sin, I know for you maybe this probably will be a little much, but we have like the normal Marvel comics and then we have like the Ultimate Universe. So obviously with like the branch timelines, I feel like we can explore like that Ultimate Universe, and instead of us getting to the point where we see like the universes crashing in on each other to eventually we only have like the one cohesive universe, maybe this is where these timelines before the end of this series, season, whichever way it goes, all these timelines are going to somehow, a lot of them may get pruned off, but then some of them are going to end up getting fused together to give us like our one new true timeline.
That's what Secret War is.
Yeah, it's going to give
us
our
Secret War is. Secret War is that, and then they end up in Battle World, and that's Doctor Doom, and then they branch off and prune and then it all becomes one thing, which is like how in the comic books Miles Morales and Peter Parker
end up in the same actual universe,
end up in the same actual reality. You know what I mean? Is from that. It's that sing.
And
so that is, we know that that's the direction they're heading, right? Because the reality of it is, this I'm gonna get my cuts on for a second. This shit right here is too confusing.
And that's what I was going to say.
much.
And that's what I was going to say, because at this point, you can now slim everything down. So, like, say how obviously right now we have 3 Spider-Man. Whoever they decide going forward, maybe in the future that they want to use, they can say, hey, Tom Holland, we're not going to use you now going forward. It's going to be Tobey Maguire, and he's going to get his Spider-Man 4. And now this is the now true timeline.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Don't do that.
Hey, look. I didn't listen.
No,
hold on. The only reason,
look,
listen.
here's the thing.
Hold up.
You're very excited. You're
Listen.
very excited because your
Listen.
eyeballs are really big
Listen.
right now. Oh, listen.
The
Don't
only
do that.
reason why I use that one as the example is because one that everybody will understand, is familiar with, because of the way Spider-Man has been set up. If we start seeing all these,
all we had to do is say Miles Morales is.
I was about to say
coming live action.
Miles. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, again, people understand Spider-Verse. Like, they get that. Like, for all of what it is with all the branch timelines and there are all these other things that are going on, people understand Spider-Verse. So if you understand Spider-Verse and that there are these versions of characters that exist in these other timelines, and that there's this place where they can all come together, that's it. Like, you
have their
you
central
get it,
hub,
right?
and everybody goes to their timeline and do their job.
If you decide to chop that off, and these are the ones that made it, what they have is a potential to be able to say, y'all wanted a new Iron Man, here's your new Iron Man. Y'all wanted another Captain America, here's your Captain America. Hugh Jackman's too old to keep being Wolverine, here's your Wolverine, but we might actually keep him around for Old Man Logan. Like, that's where they are, right? They're in a position where they can take these characters that people did grow up loving in live action and give them new versions and have a valid reason for replacing the actors that have aged out.
Yeah.
That's what they have. And that, to me, is the plan that they're going for. So, yes, we have a Young Avengers. We have these people that are the kids or the offspring or the understudies, right? In the case of, like, Hawkeye, right? But if you still want a Black Widow, we can get you a Black Widow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you feel like you really need, right? Because we have 2 Visions right now.
Yes, we do.
Where the fuck is White Vision?
I was just about to say that we have.
I don't know.
There's been no near sighting of him.
They've lost the
So again-
Superbot multiple times now. Again, over and over.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, and when they just decide he went and figured out how to travel through timelines, you're just gonna be like, oh, all right. Like, that's where he was.
White
Okay,
Vision,
that's where he's
I don't know.
hanging, yeah.
White Vision gonna become the Ultron of the What If universe or something? I don't know.
I can't study. Y'all have me excited for the rest of this because y'all put me on the game and stuff. I didn't read Battle World. I didn't read Secret Wars coming up. So knowing where everything is headed and what those are about, now I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so now I'm starting to see why this is so important and going forward and why it's such a big deal, how Kang is setting up Secret Wars, you know what I'm saying, and so forth going forward. Like, very tricky with time travel and everything and multiverses and everything. They have to get it right. And like we stated at the beginning, it's kind of feeling a little bit all over the place. We need to hone this in and make it simple for the casual viewer to watch and be able to follow.
Yeah.
But the possibilities does have me excited for what is going to happen within the show and going forward.
100%.
So
100%, man. I again, I think it's gonna be important. So, don't let my 7 make you feel like you shouldn't watch this or like you shouldn't stay tuned.
7's good. It's just you started good. You started off right. Now make that 7 go to some 9s. Like
I mean, look, it doesn't have to do that. I'm good with 8s. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my 7 is different. Sin's 7 is because Sin was like, I don't understand what's going on with all this time travel.
Right. I gave it like 8.5. I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, that's right. You did.
It's just
you gave it the 7.
It's just, following all that type of stuff. I wasn't as locked in. I didn't know what I was getting into sitting down and watching this. Like, yep, can't watch a show late night. Cannot do it. Gotta be awake and alert for this. Yes.
To see what's
100%.
going on. Yeah. I'm still at a 7. Jokes, where are you?
Still at my 7.
And Sin?
I'm still the same. Like I said, I enjoyed the episode.
8.5. All right. I mean, I'm good with that. Look, I highly recommend just staying tuned, watch second episode, come back so you can watch the second episode that corresponds of Spoiler Boys to Loki. I'm there's nothing but reasons to be excited about what's coming, or what could be coming anyway. So I'm all in. Y'all have anything else y'all want to add?
Stick around after the during the credits, because I mean, I don't know if they're gonna do the after credit or the mid credit thing each episode, or maybe we only get that for the first one as of now. So don't cut it off.
Look, if you haven't learned by now, right?
We know that people haven't learned by now.
Huh?
I was like, we know people still haven't learned by now.
Nah, but what I'm saying is not what you think I'm saying. If you're watching a show that's on Disney Plus, if there is an after credit scene, then the picture will stay full screen.
Full screen.
Once the picture shrinks down to the small image of the credits, and they try to tell you, oh, this is something else you might want to watch, you can forget it. You can forget it. It's not gonna be, you know what I mean? But at least watch until that happens. Keep your eye on the credits until the credits shrink down into the small screen. Because once it shrinks down to the small screen, it ain't gonna happen.
It's a wrap.
It ain't gonna happen. You're not getting the after credit, because they're not going to shrink the screen down to tell you watch something else if there's more information to give you. That's just how it works. They will never. So when I'm watching, if the screen shrinks down, I'm like, all right, I can turn this off. If the screen ain't shrunk down yet, it might be a little afterburner. We might have a little sizzling at the end.
Look,
so
in the anime, I just look at the time. I just move them out. How much time is left? All right, there's nothing after. Or it's like, oh wait, there's something here.
Why is there a whole 2 minutes left in the
like there's 20 minutes left in this episode. Come on now. This is not the credits.
That would be crazy.
No, that is full fact an anime thing. Yeah.
Sure. With this, you're talking maybe a 30-second stinger or something at the end, but that's it. So that's your, if the screen shrinks, go ahead and get up out of there. Go ahead and watch that new suggestion or go find something else. All right.
I can watch Loki season 1 because I sure am.
I highly recommend it because there's a lot going on.
I'm recapping this week at work.
There's only 6 episodes, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad. All right, so this has been your Spoiler Boys for Loki Season 2, Episode 1. We look forward to y'all coming back and hanging out with us next week. We will be here for y'all to do the same thing. Same Loki time, same Loki channel. With that, we're out. Toodles and loose.
Loading snacks.